We're back with personal chef Bill Collins, chefbill.com. Earlier we made tomato sauce, now we're going to make tomato stew. Is there a difference?
Yes.
And?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
So here's the difference. And actually, this is a bit thicker. This has more stuff in it. And I've been building it up as we go along. Now, some people say, well, this is the same as ratatouille. It really isn't, and I'll explain that in a moment. What I have in here, it started the same way. We've got the sauce that I started making before. That's to go over pasta. This one, you can still put it over pasta, but I've also got onions and peppers and corn, leftover corn on the cob. We all have it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this way, just pop that in there. Yes, as we speak, I'll bet you do. Zucchini, summer squash, all the stuff that just come in from the garden and go, what am I going to do with all this? Throw it in and make a big stew out of it. Now, you can simmer this for ages. You can go as quickly as 20 or 30 minutes like we're doing the tomato sauce. This can sit and simmer for an hour, hour and a half on the stove, and it will reduce, it'll be less liquid, or you can keep it with more liquid, any way you want to do it. And I like to have it over rice. So it's a very similar flavor. Sometimes I throw a Kalamata olives in to give it a little bit of a Mediterranean thing. So that's the stew.
So how is it different from a ratatouille?
Ratatouille is you put that in actually in layers. For instance, I always like to start with onions and get those in first, but carrots. Because if you were to throw the carrots and the squash and the summer squash or the zucchini at the same time, the summer squash would be reduced to a green mush because they cook so much faster. So you put those in the density that they're going to be cooked at, so you'll have a nice firm mouthfeel, not a big mouth of mush.
Gotcha.
And so really that's really kind of the big difference.
So the stew is the big mouth of mush.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, thank
that
you.
makes sense.
You know, and I appreciate you putting it that way.
Yeah. Very kind.
No, but your mush, it's always delicious. So
Boy, thank you. Yeah, Chef Bill's mush is good.
Can we talk about a raging debate that's going on in kitchens across the country?
I think it's going on around the world.
Nay, around the world. It's salting the vegetables.
Yes, and specifically salting eggplant, because what it does, a lot of people insist that you salt eggplant. If you have a fresh eggplant, you don't have to do it. Fresh meaning, it's a local eggplant. It hasn't traveled from halfway across the world and it's 3 months old. The reason people salt them is it can pull out the bitterness, pulls out the liquid, so it doesn't, again, become mushy just as you cook it.
Similarly, it's why people brine things.
Yes, and but you don't have to do that at all, because with a nice, fresh, local eggplant, it's not going to be bitter, and so if you skip the salting part, number one, it's going to be less salty, but also it's going to be a great dish anyway. It's really not an issue.
Here's my question. What if you're doing an eggplant lasagna and you, instead of using noodles, you want to use the thinly sliced eggplant? Do you salt then, or if it's local, still no salt?
I usually still don't do that because what I tend to do, and I sometimes do it a little differently, instead of frying up the eggplant, I'm going to cut the eggplant in long strips. Well, before I cut it in long strips, I'm going to roast it first. I'm going to cut the eggplant in half lengthwise, and I'm going to roast it, and it's going to soften up that way. And so I don't think the liquid level is so high that you're going to end up with lasagna mush. So I think it works out well that way.
I'm just going to add something really quick. I did salt my eggplant recently, and it was the saltiest eggplant parmesan I've ever had.
Yeah, so
let's not salt it.
So
because it was terrible.
Questions, comments, concerns, just direct them to this guy right here.
That's right, yeah.
Don't email us about them.
And so now we have here the two dishes. We've got the pasta. This is the sauce, and you can see it has thickened up nicely just from simmering for a short while.
I also see a little tidbit in here. You've taken this element right here.
Yes,
which is
I have.
The rind of the cheese. Sometimes you see it in the store and they package multiple rinds at once and you say, why are they packaging cheese rinds?
I throw that into so many sauces and stews. It gives you a nice added element. And so when you're freshly grating your Parmesan like this, eventually you're going to get to the end, and rather than just toss out the rind, I keep them in the fridge, toss them in the sauce, as I've done here. As you can see, I can pluck up here. This is from the sauce I made earlier. This is a rind that's given up the little bits of cheese that's left on there.
Oh, yeah.
And if it ends up in your bowl, well, it's all family. You just pluck it out.
Yeah, exactly. They win the centerpiece.
Yeah, so it's really a great way. It's a flavor enhancer, and waste not, want not.
You wouldn't want my centerpiece. Dead flowers. So there you go. But make sure you take it out.
Yeah, but if you don't, it's not like it's hard and chunky. And
you can eat the rind, right?
You can. You won't chip a tooth on it.
Cut me off a little piece of that rind.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am. I'm 100% serious.
And actually, see, you still got a little bit of cheese there.
That's what I'm talking about. No, there's all the food here, but some people just want the rind.
So if you burn your fingertips, so it's a great piece of Parmesan because there still was a little bit left on the rind.
Robusto. Very good.
You're very international, and so you've got the
So robusto.
And so grate it on there, and again, you've got this, so many fresh vegetables. I actually made that the other night, which kind of gave me the idea. Throw everything in, you can't go wrong.
Chef Bill, always a pleasure having you here. And
Thank
by
you.
the way, you better hustle home after the show, because if you missed anything from today's show, you can watch it again at 1 p.m. CW Springfield.
Don't worry, you have an hour.
You have a whole hour.
But you do want to hustle home for 22 News at noon.
Yeah.
Check in with that.
It's going to be in about 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Tomorrow on Mass Appeal, oh boy, is it an exciting show, but you're going to have to tune in about 23
We're
hours.
going to tell you how to flatter your arms. We'll see you tomorrow.
Just like this. See you tomorrow, everyone.